as well as looking forward to what NXT has in store heading into Battleground. You see, NXT has been one of the shows that not many people are talking about, mostly because it's a developmental brand. It's a lot of younger stars, not a lot of established stars for the average, for the casual fan to enjoy. But if you see the story that they told in recent times, of course, with Roxanne Perez turning heel, regaining that women's title, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, seeing the level of progression, it's another story, another level of stories that in long term have impact. And what a beautiful segue, because speaking of impact, it was announced that Roxanne Perez's opponent for NXT Battleground, the upcoming PLE for NXT, was going to be announced on this episode of NXT, and speculation ran wild as to who could it be. Would it be someone that we've already seen? Do you know her face? Would it be someone from the main roster? A lot of reports were saying Tegan Nox is someone that is coming back down to NXT. But it turned out it would be none of them, because you would hear the siren. Jordynne Grace, TNA's current knockout women's champion. Jordynne Grace comes over in what was a shocking move. I mean, I remember watching the Royal Rumble this year and seeing her in the ring, in the WWE ring, and wondering, wow, what a moment in time. Because for a long time, the WWE would not incorporate other wrestlers from other companies. I mean, you had like your little indies. There was a time in 97 when they had Lucha Libre stars, enter the Royal Rumble. But to see someone of the caliber of a Jordynne Grace from TNA Wrestling, albeit TNA isn't as big as the WWE, it's still one of the leading promotions in North America. So for them to be able to include a huge star in Jordynne Grace, like, this isn't just some random women's wrestler. No, this is one of their faces of the company, the faces of their brand. It's their knockout women's champion. So to see her come over to NXT, hearing Vic Joseph refer to her as TNA's Jordynne Grace, referring to the title as the TNA Knockouts Championship. This is verbiage, this is vocabulary that we have not heard on the WWE, at least in a live capacity, because I know maybe in a documentary, perhaps they have referred to like a time with AJ Styles or Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, who spent a lot of years in TNA. But in a live capacity, to discuss this with a live audience, it certainly felt like a new era. And I love it, because pro wrestling shouldn't be just secluded to one universe. There are many other promotions. Wrestlers have history outside of the WWE, and we should welcome it. We should celebrate it, because there are different avenues to take in terms of pro wrestling. I've always described it as like a buffet. Pro wrestling, you have a flavor for everything. If you like TNA, great. If you like WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. But to see someone of the caliber of a Jordynne Grace is monumental, especially with reports saying that there is an opportunity for NXT to perhaps participate in a TNA event, Now, whether it's someone of the women's division or the men's division, at this point, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I know a lot of people have been calling for the debut of Joe Hendry, TNA's Joe Hendry, onto NXT, which, I mean, it's up in the air now. What can you say? At any point, we can have that happen. And one thing that really surprised me was the announcement of Jordynne Grace having a match on NXT next week. So it's not even just like a one-off for the PLE. Like, she's going to be integrated onto NXT television. Granted, TNA is already taped. Their shows aren't live. They pre-record those ahead of time. But we've already seen Jordynne Grace at the Royal Rumble. We've seen her appear on this week's NXT. We'll see her on next week's NXT, and then Battleground. That's unprecedented, So very excited for that. I think the obvious answer is Roxanne Perez will retain the women's title. I don't see them giving it to a TNA star. That just doesn't really makes sense. But it's a great showcase for TNA, who had a lot of a wave of momentum entering the year. It's kind of stalled a little bit, but you see them add guys like Broken Matt Hardy, Nick Nemeth, Ryan Nemeth always also came through. They've been running the storyline with the system, having Moose, Kurt Hawkins, currently known as Brian Matthews, and Eddie Edwards as their main champions. So, I mean, it's a great showcase for TNA to allow them to get more eyes on their product and at the same time develop a little bit more buzz for the pro wrestling industry. So it's great. But speaking of shocking returns slash debuts, Ethan Page, AEW's Ethan Page, seemingly signs with NXT. And again, in another shocking moment, they've been running this angle that there's been a series of attacks. Noam Dar, Oral Mensa, just a couple of the individuals that were attacked on NXT TV, and it was revealed that it was Ethan Page. He's taking credit for it. He attacked Trick Williams at the end of his matchup against Gallus. And again, Vic Joseph, the commentator for NXT, refers to that's Ethan Page. Wasn't he just on AE and then he was cut off, by the action in the ring? Nearly saying AEW. So it's very odd. It's very odd to see WWE just acknowledge the outside world of pro wrestling. I love it. I'm a fan of it, because it's like I said, it's rewarding to know that they are knowledgeable and that they know that the crowd is knowledgeable about these other promotions. Ethan Page, who was most recently seen on Ring of Honor television, he was on AEW, of course, but then he got moved to Ring of Honor, now has signed a deal with the WWE and is treated as a main star. I mean, he's already getting thrusted upon into a storyline with their lead champion, Trick Williams. I don't think he's going to win the title. So to see how they're going to carry out that matchup, and certainly you would think they would protect him in a loss because he's brand new. You don't want this guy to enter a new promotion and just get squashed. I mean, not when you invest in an angle like this, whenever you develop a story introducing someone new, I don't think it's smart to go ahead and just give them a loss off the top of the bat. But we'll see how they progress with that. AEW losing Ethan Page, I'm not gonna act like it's a huge loss, like, oh my god, when they lost Cody or Jade, but it's another jump to the WWE. And one guy a lot of people are waiting on is Ricky Starks. Will Ricky Starks be the next guy to jump from AEW to WWE? We've seen a list of guys already. Like I mentioned, Cody, Jade Cargill, Brian Pillman Jr., Sean Spears, and now Ethan Page, the latest individual to jump from AEW to WWE.